Continuing, Perek Tetvav, chapter 15 of Sefer Mishlei. Ma'anerach yashiv chema, very important pasuk. Ma'anerach means a soft answer. Soft-spoken people have an advantage that they have within them the ability to lashiv chema, to turn away wrath or anger. Udvar etzev yale af, but words that are grievous, harsh, they tend to stir up anger. That's a simple translation, but there are various ideas here. There are some people who are temperamental, who are ka'asanim. They just get angry very quickly, they get angry very often. That's their challenge, to work on their ka'as, on their anger. Anger management, they call it in this country. And Shlomo Melech tells us one way to deal with anger is to train yourself, la'anot berakut, is to talk gently, softly, to not raise your voice. That's just one idea. But the second interpretation, I think, is the more significant one, which you can actually apply it. Everyone can apply this. And that is ma'aneh rach yeshiv chema. If you are dealing with an individual, whether it's in business or elsewhere, who's very angry, who's blowing up at you, yelling, one of the best ways to deal with him is ma'aneh rach, is to talk back to him very softly, very quietly. That has the ability to quiet him down. If you yell back, you're not going to convince him, no matter what logic you offer. That will not necessarily calm things down. Sometimes when it's a very heated argument, the best solution is to just keep quiet. It depends with who you're dealing, depending what the topic is. Sometimes you can't keep quiet, you have to explain. So it all depends on the circumstances. Shlomo Melech tells us that it's very much a good solution to dealing with a situation where one is really, really exploding, very angry, is to talk back very nicely and gently. That will have the effect of diffusing him better than anything else. And I recall an incident when I was working for the county as an appraiser. We appraise for tax purposes. Not everybody likes us. So when I came out to one place to see what was done, he didn't want to let me on the property. So what do? I went to the next property to take a look, and he got upset at that too. And he says, I'm going to call police. This is illegal. Even though he was not right, even though I could always estimate, and he'll even be in worse trouble if I have to estimate. That's what we do when people don't want to cooperate. We estimate high. And then they have to call back, well, let me in, so I can get to see, So anyway, he came out very, very upset. He wasn't the owner. He was just there watching the place. And he starts ranting and saying what was on his mind. And I can see he was in a bad mood. I can see he was very upset at other things for other reasons. And he started telling me all the legalities about this and that, and it's wrong. I said, what am I going to argue with him now? I says, you know what? I didn't know. You have a point. And as soon as I said that, I caught him off guard. It's like taking a balloon and deflating it. All the air came out. As soon as I just said, oh, really? You have a point. I didn't know that. And that's just, it took maybe 3 seconds, and that whole individual who was about to explode or do something just quieted down, and then he just continued talking to me nicely. That's the idea here. Ma'aneh rach yashiv chema. You have here 2 descriptions of anger. The Gaon of Vilna says you have here the word chema and you have here the word af. You find them both in the Torah, haron af, one's wrath, one's anger. Af is mouth, is the nose, because that's where the anger is. So the Gaon of Vilna says chema is b'maaseh. When people have chema, they demonstrate it in actually doing something out of anger. Af is just in the level of thought, where you're still angry in your mind, but you haven't carried out, you haven't done anything. So ma'aneh rach, talking back gently, has within it the ability to turn away chema. In other words, even if somebody's about to hit you, somebody's about to do something, that's how effective ma'aneh rach could be. Obviously, if you do the opposite, dvar etzev, if you talk back in a very nice way, all that will do is yale af. All that will do is stir up more anger. In other words, you won't be able to achieve anything. So weigh your options. Does it really pay to argue? Or is it better, or you're better off just being quiet? And sometimes just listening to the other person and being quiet is also good. That's all they want. They want to be heard. Speaking softly, as we said, is good anger management, and it's good also and effective to calm other people who are always getting angry. Rabbis, actually, it's a pasuk in Kohelet. Maybe one day we'll cover Kohelet. Kohelet says, Divrei Chachamim benachat nishmaim. The words of the wise, the words of the Chachamim, are heard and accepted when they're given over benachat. Words of Chachamim meaning words of rebuke, words of direction, you're not doing something right. If it's said in a nice way, it can go a long way. It can be much more effective. Divrei Chachamim, these are the words of Chachamim that are being said benachat. There's a better chance for them to be heard. You're giving somebody musar, you're telling somebody off, whether it's a child, a friend, a neighbor. You want your words to leave an impression in him, your chances are better if they're said benachat, not yelling, not overdoing it. Husband and wife, any kind of a relationship where you want your words to be effective, you want a better chance to succeed in communicating. Rebuke. You're not communicating here, something that the other person likes to hear. This is rebuke. These are tough words. You can take the same tough words and wrap it in a different wrapper. A soft wrapping. That's what Shlomo Melech meant. Divrei Chachamim benachat nishmaim. Next pasuk. Leshon Chachamim tetiv dat ufi cheselim yabia ivelet. Here he translates it that the tongue of the wise dispenses knowledge, but the mouth of fools pours out foolishness. This pasuk also has various interpretations. The tongue of the Chachamim, of the wise, when they want to communicate, they make sure that their words are tovim. Here they have a chance to speak to someone. They're not just going to talk whatever is on their mind. They're going to attempt to do their best that their words come out properly. That's one idea. The Shon Chachamim Detiv Dat is when the Chacham speaks, he just doesn't speak, he makes sure that his words are proper to the point. Whereas a fool does not pay attention to what he says, he's uncontrollable, he doesn't think before he says. That is a simple difference between the Chacham and the Ksil. Another idea is the Shon Chachamim Tetiv Ta'ad. When the Chachamim speak, they improve the da'at of others. Others may have thought that they're right, not realizing that they're mistaken in their way of thinking, in what they're doing. So Leshon Chachamim, by going to a shiur, going to a lecture, the words of the Chachamim, tetiv, will improve their da'at, their understanding of things. They will realize where they were wrong. Another idea is Leshon Chachamim tetiv da'at is when those who at one time perhaps were not very sympathetic to Torah, if they ever go once to hear Torah, they will be under a different impression, because the Shon Chachamim Tetiv Da'at, the words of the Chachamim, will also have the effect of giving Da'at a much greater standing, to the point where they will admire it, where at once they did not. Take someone once to a good shiur, and you will see that the Da'at, that at one time he was not so respectful of, so that the effect of the Lashon of Chachamim will be to put the Da'at, the Chokhmah, on a pedestal. Next pasuk. B'chol makom einei Adonai tzofot ra'im v'tovim. The eyes of Hashem are in every place, and they observe the good and the bad, the evil and the good. That's a translation. What Shlomo Melech is talking about here is about the Ashgacha, about divine providence, which is a very important part of Ayamunah, of our faith. That Hashem not only created the world, He continuously supervises it, directs it, and He's aware of everything. And when we say aware of everything, as we'll see later, even aware of our thoughts, not just of our actions. So here he says, Hashem is aware of everything, Hashem sees everything, His eyes are everywhere, the good and the bad. Alright, the good and the bad meaning, regardless of what action is taken, He's aware of everything. Why does He have to tell us good and bad? Well, Sometimes we don't see that Hashem rewards those who are good. Sometimes we don't see that Hashem punishes those who are evil. Hashem sees everything. Just because He does not act upon an action does not mean He wasn't aware of it, He did not observe it. Hashem sees everything, and for some reason only known to Him, He will act whenever He feels it's right to act. The Gaon of Vilna says a very interesting peshat on this pasuk, that Hashem sees Ra'im Betovim. You want to know why sometimes Derech Reshaim Tzelecha, why the ways of the wicked succeed? That is one of the questions the Prophet asks. Why is it that the ways of the wicked succeed? They're prosperous. Gaon of Vilna says, you want to know one of the reasons why sometimes Hashem allows a Rasha to do and to continue in his ways? Because Hashem sees the Ra'im and the Tovim. He sees those wicked people, and He sees the good kids that are going to come out of these evil people. Hashem says, I can't hurt him right now. There's something good coming out of him. So sometimes there's good coming out of bad. Believe it or not. And only Hashem can see that. So Hashem sees all of that and takes everything into consideration. Pasuk Dalet. Marpe lashon etz chaim v'selef ba shever beruach. Here he translates it, a wholesome tongue. All right, is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. Okay, I'll use my own words. Marpe lashon etz chaim. A tongue, there's various ideas here. A tongue that is wholesome, or a tongue that is healthy, is etz chaim. It's a tree of life. What does it mean, a tree of life? The tongue is a very powerful organ. As you know, lashon hara, speak bad about others, is a very serious avon. This same lashon that can do a lot of harm, can do a lot of good. Marpeh not only means a healthy tongue, it means a tongue that has the ability to cure, to heal. A healing tongue, in other words, if we translate it so, it could be a etz chaim, a tree of life. Why? Because there's a lot of maladies, a lot of diseases that medication may or may not help them. But Shlomo HaMelech tells us, Marpeh lashon, if you have a good tongue, a kind man who gives encouragement, speaks nicely, softly to the sick man, calms him down, reassures him, that is an etz chaim better than all the medication. That is why the Chachamim very much praise Bikur Cholim, visiting the sick. Not only is it a mitzvah, there are some people that have the ability to reduce the sickness by just visiting, by just coming, if they're from the same mazal. So you're doing the man a tremendous favor, not just by being there, but him seeing you. Your words may have the effect of giving him strength. The medication may make him even sicker, may make him tired, may make him depressed. But marpeh lashon etz chaim. But if you speak to him nicely, you come and reassure him, spend time with him, those could be the best words, the best healing. For someone who's sick, just to be with them, to spend time with them, to talk to them, not just to talk about anything, but to talk good things. Chachamim tell us from this pasuk, be very, very careful whenever you go visit the sick, or whenever you go comfort the mourners. Nichum Avelim and Bikur Cholim, these two mitzvot are very big mitzvot. Visiting the sick and going to comfort those who are mourning. Big mitzvot, but very tricky. Imagine this guy coming to visit someone who's sick. I know somebody just like you who died at the age of 32. Because of that. Yeah, some people are silly. Isn't that silly? Thanks. That's what Shlomo HaMelech had in mind here. Be careful. When you visit, you have the ability to be marpeh lashon, to heal. But you also have the ability to use your tongue, v'selef ba shever beruach, to depress someone with the twisted tongue. Selef ba, perverse tongue. Shever beruach means to lower the spirit. Instead of encouraging, instead of giving him strength, you're doing the opposite, saying harsh words. That's one of the ideas behind marpeh lashon etz chaim. This tongue is a very powerful organ. It can do a lot of harm, it can do a lot of good. Some say that marpe lashon is from the lashon of rafeh, a soft tongue. Just like we said before, maneh rach yashiv chema, a soft tongue, speaking softly and gently, has the effect of an etz chaim, of a tree of life. Another idea of marpe lashon etz chaim is that Shlomo Melech is talking to chachamim. A chacham who gives musar, rebuke, he might give up. A chacham giving a shiur, giving rebuke, might give up very quickly if his words are not heard. So Shlomo Melech tells him, no, marpe lashon etz chaim, give it your maximum, do your best, because maybe a few words will stick. Maybe somebody will get something out of it. Don't underestimate the koach of the lashon. Whereas v'selef ba sheve beruach, when a person uses his tongue in not a right way, in a perverse way, he might take somebody who was in a good mood a moment ago and completely transform that mood into a bad mood. Everything depending on the lashon. That's the power of the lashon.
What about a mourner, about visiting a mourner?
So visiting a mourner was another example. That you have to be careful what you say, because sometimes instead of making him feel good, you make him feel worse. If you don't know what to say, it's a very sensitive situation. A guy's child passed away, young. What are you going to say? Kapara. You can't just say kapara. You have to be careful, even though it's true. Everything is kapara. There's a cheshbon. The chachamim tell us in the halakha that when you go visit somebody who's mourning, you wait till he talks. You don't begin to talk. You allow him to first express his grief, and then you're able to respond as necessary. But you have to know how to respond and what to say, what not to say. Pasuk Hey. Evil yin'atz musar aviv v'shomer tochachat yarim. A fool despises his father's instruction, the rebuke, the musar of his father. V'shomer tochachat yarim. He who heeds, who listens to the reproof, he's prudent, he's smart. That's the translation. Actually, before we come to this pasuk, there's another idea here that I left out. A very important idea. Somebody who speaks lashon hara, who misuses his tongue, has a tikkun. He can also do teshuvah. It's difficult. If he spoke a lot of bad things about people, to take all of that back, it's difficult to correct. Nevertheless, the rabbis tell us, Rabbi Yochanan was once approached by an individual who spoke bad about others, and he asked for teshuvah. He says, go to Rabbi Hanina. He went to Rabbi Hanina, and Rabbi Hanina said, you know what, study Torah, because the Torah is marpe lashon. It's the etz chaim. Of the Torah cures the tongue. So in the words marpe lashon etz chaim, you find that the Torah is a cure for lashon hara. What if the individual is not a talmid chacham? He does not know how to learn Torah. So the rabbi suggests that he should train himself to be humble. Humble, in this way he won't speak bad about people. I've also suggested that it's a good tikkun and tshuva for one who has spoken lashon hara to speak positively about people, to give people the benefit of the doubt. That could also be a little bit of a tikkun for his avon. We spoke a little bit also about depression. Just a point on depression. Depression, as we will see later on, there's another pasuk that speaks about depression, is one of the most serious diseases of the body. Believe it or not. There may not be an infection, there may not be a wound, there's depression. And that could really, really mess someone up. Shlomo Melech reminds us over here that one of the keys of getting somebody out of depression is lashon, is the tongue. If somebody knows how to talk nicely and properly to an individual, it could be really a lifesaver, an etz chaim. It's not all these medications that will do it. And there are all sorts of medications that people take. There's something more effective, marpe lashon. All right, and we went on to the next pasuk, evil yin'atz musar aviv. So one who's a fool does not take heed, does not listen to the musar of his father. The reason perhaps why this pasuk follows the lashon, marpe lashon etz chaim, we spoke about the power and effectiveness of a tongue. So you might say, great, I'm going to talk to this young man, to this child, and I'm going to dissuade him or encourage him. Shlomo Melech reminds us, listen, you may run into an individual who's a nevil, who all your speeches and all your talks will not fly anywhere. Yinatz musar aviv, his own father's musar, he won't listen to. So don't think it's always going to work. There are people out there who won't listen. Evil yinatz, he will despise musar aviv. Only shomer tochachat yarim, only one who has a little bit of prudence, some intelligence, will realize the value of all this musar. Shomer means to watch, to guard, to put it to use, not just to listen. It doesn't say shomea. Shomer tochachat yarim means no, for the musar to have any effect, he has to not just listen, is put it to work. One who does that, then his chances are better that the musar that he hears will be effective. Next pasuk is also a very significant pasuk. We talked about musar, about trying to effectively communicate with one's child. Pasuk Vav says as follows: Beit Tzaddik Hosen Rav, uBetvuat Rasha Ne'ekaret. In the house of the righteous there is much treasure. I would not translate it necessarily treasure. In the house of a tzaddik, Hosen Rav means there's a lot of strength. It's pretty much immune from outside influences. However, Betvuat Rasha Ne'ekaret, but in the income of the wicked there is trouble. I don't like the translation. It's not very accurate. What he's trying to say is, even if you have a bite of a tzaddik, which has a tremendous amount of hosen, of strength, ubitvuat rasha nekaret, if you introduce into that house the tevuah, the grain of the rasha, then the chas v'shalom, you can introduce trouble. What kind of trouble? Nekaret means that it will become sterile, or that it will be uprooted, actually. You have here the house of a tzaddik. You think it's immune. You think it's strong. But if you bring in the wrong elements, with just a little bit of tevuah of a rasha, that house that was once the house of a tzaddik could stop being the house of a tzaddik. What is he trying to say? That even if you have a father who's a tzaddik, even if you have a good home, there may be sometimes a child who brings in all sorts of bad things into the home. Bad friends, bad influence. And that's called tevuat rasha. The tevuah of the rasha can destroy an otherwise good home. And what will happen is ne'ekaret, that from that generation on, there's no Torah in the following generation. In other words, don't think that you're secure just because you're good, your wife is good, your family root is good. If something negative is introduced into the house, it could spoil an otherwise good house. That is the danger of TV. That is the danger of sending kids to public schools. Parents are good, yeah, but they cannot compete with the influence of friends, with the influence of the street. If all of that tevuah rasha is being brought into a good home, ne'ekaret, that a good home can stop being a good home, chas v'shalom. Next pasuk. Siftei chachamim yezaru da'at v'lev kesilim lochen. The lips of the wise spread knowledge, but the heart of the foolish does not so. That's a simple translation. The chachamim just don't learn for themselves. They're in business of learning and teaching. That's not so is the heart of the fool. To better understand this pasuk, I have to use another interpretation. Siftei chachamim yezaru da'at. The chacham, when he has any doubts, zoreh. Zoreh means to, I think in English it's called to winnow. Does anybody know here what to winnow means? When you harvest the barley, the wheat in the field, there's the threshing, the winnowing, which is the process of filtering out the bad from the good. Like sifting, yeah. One is through the wind, one is through a sift, a sieve actually, right? These are the melachot in Shabbat. So, the lips of the Chacham, if he has any doubts about something, Yezaru, he examines them, he sifts through them to remove any doubts, anything that he's not certain about, before he talks about it, before he adopts it. Whereas Lev Kesilim Lochen, the heart of the fools is not so. They don't think twice about what they say. If they have any doubts, they don't look into it. So he's saying it's a fool. Whoever does not share his doubts, looks into it further, just acts upon, especially if it's a major decision in one's life. You really have to look through it. You have to examine it. You have to ask others for advice. A fool does not do so. And that's what he repeats this idea in different words many times in Mishlei. Look at the difference between fools and Chachamim. How Chachamim are so careful with their words, how they seek their advice, how they make sure before they do something that they're 100% right. They don't want to make a mistake. That's a Chacham. Chacham does not want to make a mistake, if at all possible. A fool doesn't care. That's one idea here. Another idea is based on the words of the Midrash. The Midrash says on this pasuk, Siftei Chachamim Izaru Da'at, Elu Yisrael Shasu Zer LaAaron. We're talking about the Jewish nation that made a crown to the Aaron, which held the tablets, Luchot HaBrit. They made a crown around it, a golden crown. So based on that Midrash, the rabbis tell us, Zacha, if a person is zocheh in learning the Torah, if he has the right attitude in learning the Torah will be a crown to him. It will crown him. It will have a tremendous impact on him. Lo zacha, if he's not zocheh, if he did not have the right attitude, zara lo, she will be foreign to him. He will not like it. He will drop it. You have a lot of people who may have gone to a yeshiva, and after they left yeshiva, they don't touch a sefer. They never open up a book at home. It's a shame. It's like the Torah is foreign to them. It's strange to them. What happened? You were sitting 10, 12, 14 hours a day learning Gemara, Chumash. If you did not have the right attitude about the Torah, eventually, Chaz v'shalom, you will drop it. The same is true with people who make aliyah. I talk about it from time to time. How many people have made aliyah that you know that have come back? I'm sure you know something like that, right? Why? Now, there are some horror stories, okay? There are some stories where just things went terribly wrong. But it depends why you do aliyah to begin with. If you don't have the right attitude, if you're not going there for the real reasons, there's enough things in Israel that will cool you off. A lot of things, from standing, waiting for the bus. You know what people will tell you? Zuz, mata osepo. Get out of the way. You're in my way. Move. You didn't do anything. You'll hear the word zuz a lot of times. Get out of my way. You go to the post office. You go to pay your bills. And you have to wait in line. And once you finally get to the person to pay, no, I don't take care of this. It's that other window teller, that other person takes. But I've been standing here for half an hour. I don't care. It's not my problem. That's called bureaucracy. Another one. You come. It says open from 9 to 4, right? You come at 3:30. I'm sorry, I'm closed. But it says 4. I'm sorry, come back tomorrow. But I can't come back tomorrow. I'm sorry, I don't care. Whoever has been to Israel, these things are pretty common. Very, very common, unfortunately. Father Alav Shalom arrived once in Israel for one of his trips, his foreign trips, came back, and he brought home a new pair of shoes. You need to pay tax on this. Even on a pair of shoes, I got to pay taxes. Sorry. Kvod Arav, they tell him, Hamedina tzricha kesef. The country needs money. Oh, that's different. That's different. Why did you tell me that? The country needs money. I will gladly help out. See, that the guy at least was nice. He reasoned with him. I understand. I agree with you. It's ridiculous to pay taxes on a pair of shoes. Hamedina tzricha kesef. That's different. It all depends on the attitude. If you have the right attitude, nothing will stop you. But not everybody's prepared for aliyah. Aliyah is a tremendous mesirut nefesh. It takes a tremendous amount of sacrifice. You have to really be prepared for this major culture shock and giving up many things that you may have been used to here in different lifestyle, different people. Same is true with Torah. The same is true with many things in life. If you don't have the right attitude, when you go after something, you can easily cool off. If it's something important in your life, be careful. to always consider it important. In other words, always put your time into it and your effort into it. Otherwise, it's eventually going to be forgotten. And that's why he says over here, Siftei Chachamim Zaru Dat, that they dispense knowledge according to the first meaning that they value it so much they don't want to keep it to themselves. They share it with others. They believe in it. If you believe in something, then hopefully you will share it, you will talk about it. Let Kesilim Lochen, not so the heart of the fools who don't believe so much in anything except in their foolishness. Next pasuk. Zevach Reshaim To'avat Adonai Tfilat Yesharim Retzono. The sacrifice, the korban of the Rashaim is an abomination. Hashem doesn't like it. But the prayer of the upright, of those who are Yesharim, is his delight. Rasha thinks that he can do everything in the world and then bring a korban, a sacrifice. You know when you see this today? Yom Kippur. A guy actually thinks that he can do everything a whole year. Yom Kippur he's going to arrive in the Beit Knesset and he's going to say Adonai Selichot or whatever, and that's it. And Hashem is going to forgive him. Hashem will not accept his korban. It's a to'ava. It's an abomination. You think you can do anything you want and just cover it up with a korban? So the zevach, the korban, which he spends money on, he gave a donation, p'tichat echal for ne'ilah, $5,000. That's a zevach. Zevach, it costs money. To'ava. Hashem doesn't care about it. Utfilat yesharim, retzono. Those who are yesharim, who are honest, straight, they couldn't bring $5,000. They brought $18. But they prayed. Tefillah. The tefillah of the yashar is better than the korban of the rasha. The prayer of the one who's honest, upright, righteous, no money was spent, he prayed. That's more valuable. That's retzono. Much more than the korban, the zevach of the rasha. $5,000, and he paid $5,000. Hashem says, you can't cover it up, you can't bribe me. No bribes. In the next pasuk, he explains why that is so. Why doesn't the HaKadosh Baruch Hu accept the korban, the zevach of the rasha? To'avat Adonai derech rasha, u'meradef tzedakah yehav. The way of the wicked is an abomination. Hashem doesn't like the way of the rasha. What's the way of the rasha? The way of the rasha is that all he has in mind are his pleasures. He doesn't have really in mind to do the will of Hashem, to really contribute for tzedakah, to really contribute for mitzvah. His whole way, his whole demeanor, his whole attitude is not right. So to'avat Hashem derech rasha, that's why he doesn't accept anything from the rasha. U'meradef tzedakah yehav. He loves those who follow after his righteousness. That the word tzedakah could be righteousness, could also be charity. So the commentaries say, what's meradef tzedakah? Not only one who gives tzedakah, one that meradef, he goes and encourages others to give tzedakah. He's not just happy and content that I did mine, I gave tzedakah. No, come and share in this mitzvah. Meradef, he goes after. Look at the difference between the derech harasha, who's only interested in himself, and the tzaddik, who's also interested in lezakot acherim, to allow others to have a share in the mitzvah, not to just do it himself. That's one of the ideas behind the word meradef tzedakah. Not only does he do tzedakah, he causes others. Hashem loves these people. One of the reasons it says meradef is because there are a lot of people who want to do something, but they never manage to get around to do it. Something happens. That's called meradef. Even if you did not succeed, Hashem gives sachar for those trying and couldn't make it. Let's say somebody was on his way to come here. He really tried. He left an important meeting and he really made an effort to come to a shiur and he had a flat tire. He has sachar for attempting, for trying, for getting up and going. Even if he couldn't make it. Meradef tzedakah Yehovah. Hashem loves those who pursue it. Even if not all the times they're able to do what they intended to do. Now, we spoke about To'avat Hashem derech rasha. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not like those who go in the ways of the rasha, those who behave like a rasha, those who do things in the guise of a rasha. And I'll tell you why I use this expression, in the guise of a rasha. In other words, they befriend people who are no good. There's an exception to this, going in the guise of a rasha. It's a very fascinating story told in, I think, Yerushalmi, the Gemara. Rabbi Eliyahu meets up with Rav Broka, one of the rabbis then. So Rav Broka asks Eliyahu Navi, tell me, in this street where you see a lot of people going, this marketplace, Aim yesh po mishu shu ben olam haba? Could you tell me, Eliyahu Navi, is anybody here, someone that's going to have olam haba? He says, no, there's no one here in this marketplace that is ben olam haba. All of a sudden, as they're talking, somebody walks by, and Eliyahu Navi points to him. You see him? He's ben olam haba. Who was this guy? He was Jewish, but he dressed like a goy. In those days, Jews did not wear, I think it was black shoes or something like that, because that was what the goyim wore. And he was wearing what the goyim wore. Plus, he did not have any tzitzit, which was right away a sign that this guy was not an observant Jew. Tzitzit. So he was not wearing tzitzit, and he was wearing the dress code of the goyim. So this rabbi says, Eliyahu Navi points to him, this is ben olam haba. Let me run to him and see, what does he do to get olam haba? What do you do? Says, I'm a guard in a jail, and I get men prisoners and I get women prisoners, and whenever I get men and women, I make sure to put them in different cells so they should not come to any isur. And whenever there's a Jewish girl who I think the goyim want to violate her, I put, he says, there was one time a situation like that where it was a very nice girl who just happened to have been recently engaged, and the goyim put their eye on her. They wanted to, violate her. So he immediately thought of an idea, and he took red wine, and he put it on her legs. And as soon as they saw that, he says, oh, she's a nida, exactly, and we don't want to touch that. From describing all of this ma'asim, all of his deeds, to this rabbi, the rabbi now understood that this guy is a tzaddik for what he does. Tell me, what else do you do? He says, any time I hear from the goyim that they're going to make terrible decrees against the Jews, I go to the chachamim so they can pray to cancel the decrees. Wow, you're a mamash tzaddik, so tell me, why aren't you wearing tzitzit, and why are you dressing like the goyim? He says, even that I do l'shem shamayim, so they shouldn't recognize me as a Jew. Now he understands, this is mamash tzaddik. So even though he's walking in the guise of a rasha, that would not be somebody who Hashem does not dislike, because he's doing it l'shem shamayim. That's an example of l'shem shamayim. By the way, that's not the end of the story. Eliyahu Navi and Rav Broka were talking, and then he says, you know what? Here's another two individuals who are b'nei olam haba. So he ran over to them. What's your profession? Anachnu batchanim. We're
Jesters.
Jesters. Yeah, thank you. I forgot that word in English. Jesters. You know what jesters is? They make people laugh. Who do you make people? What kind of people do you make laugh? All those people who are depressed, or people who are fighting with each other. We go and crack a good joke, and we make them laugh, and we calm them down. So we go around all the time making people happy. Oh, it says that's also b'nei olam haba. There were some great rabbis who, because of their seriousness, I don't want to use the word depressed, but they were very, very serious. They needed people to uplift them. One of them was Rav Baruch Mimeshbush, the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov. The guy who used to make him happy, his name was Hershel Ostropole, famous jester in Jewish literature. He's so funny that they said when he passed away, he came to the Shamayim. And you know what's the first question they ask you in Shamayim? What's your name? So the story goes, they asked Hershel Ostropole, what's your name? And he said, Yankel. He says, that's not true. We know that's not true. Your name is Hershel, then what do you ask me for? If you know. That's what they say. If you know, what are you asking me here? The other one was the Gaon of Vilna. The Vilna Gaon, tremendous Gaon, serious man. The Maggid of Dubna used to visit him very often to uplift his spirits, to sometimes bring a smile to his face. It's very healthy. Very, very healthy. As we spoke about in the very beginning of the shiur, what words can do, how they can bring out somebody from a bad mood, from depression. A smile, some kind words, soft words. So these batchanim, jesters, had a tremendous mitzvah. by making people happy, making people smile. And you know what? Sometimes that's very, very good therapy. Somebody's very nervous, somebody's very upset, somebody's just worried. Do something to get them out of that anxiety. I sometimes tickle my kids just to release a little bit of tension that they may have for whatever reason at that moment. It just removes them from one state of mind to another. But of course, that alone is not enough. You got to do other things too, to reassure, and to be nice, and to sometimes make them laugh. The next pasuk, Musar ra leozev orach soneh tochachat yamut. Musar was correcting or rebuking someone. Is ra, is grievous to him who forsakes the way. Soneh tochachat yamut, and he who hates reproof shall die. What this pasuk is talking about is Yisurim. Musar here being not just reproof and criticism, but also being Yisurim. When Hashem sends down pain and suffering to someone, that's called Musar too. It's a kapara, or it could be a way of bringing something to his attention. So Musar ra leozev orach. To those who leave the way, Hashem sends Musar ra, to remind them that what they're doing is not right, to wake them up. The problem is with those who are soneh tochachat, those who don't want to pay attention, those who hate the rebuke, yamut, that there's no tikkun for them, they may end up dying. You know the famous story with the guy who was, it's a mashal, a guy who was, whose boat capsized, and he's in the ocean, and he's about to drown. You know, how long can he swim for? All of a sudden he sees a log passing by, a piece of log from his ship. Doesn't grab onto it. Then he sees a small boat coming. It doesn't call out to them. Then a bigger boat comes, and they yell at him, "You need any help?" "No, thanks. I'm waiting for Hashem to come directly and help me." Then he sees a helicopter come down, sends him a rope. "No, Hashem is going to help me." Somebody else later on comes and tries to help him. "No, thank you, but Hashem is going to help me." And he dies, he drowns. He comes upstairs, says, "Why didn't you take all that help?" He says, "I have a lot of complaints with Hashem. I always believed all my life that Hashem will come and help me. And this was the one time that I depended on Him, and He didn't come out and help me." He says, "What do you think that log was? What do you think that small boat was? What do you think that big boat was? What do you think the helicopter was? All of those were hands of Hashem to come and save you." And he here is thinking Hashem himself. Every attempt to save his life was Hashem's shlichut, to save his life. There's a lot of times that we receive signals from above, and we don't realize that that's what they are. Itutim, to wake up, to stop doing whatever it is that you were doing that is wrong. And it's all for our own good. No, we're expecting some big miracle. That's not going to happen. These are all small miracles, but we don't accept them as such. But Hashem does send from time to time musar, and we hope it shouldn't be musara. It shouldn't be through suffering. We don't want a painful experience. Just a small tap on the door or on the shoulder, as we say. Next pasuk, Sheol ve'avadon neged Adonai af ki libot bnei Adam. Sheol ve'avadon are descriptions of Gehenom. These places, Hashem knows them inside out. He knows what's there. He knows what it looks like. And just like He knows those things that He created, Shlomo says, remember, He knows also the hearts of man. He knows what's going on in our hearts, in our minds, in our thoughts. And because of that, one should not think that if he just commits a sin with his thoughts, it's okay. I didn't do anything. All I'm doing is thinking about it. It's wrong. Hashem knows our thoughts, what we're thinking about, and one has to take efforts not only to correct actions, but even to purify and clean his thoughts, because Hashem is aware of all our thoughts too. Next pasuk, Lo yehav letz ocheach lo el chachamim lo yelech. A letz is a scorner. A scorner does not like when people rebuke him, reprove him. Nor will he go to the wise. So the commentaries explain him, it's one thing if a scorner doesn't like. He doesn't like to be told what to do. A lot of people don't like to be told. But it's another thing not to go at all ever to the chachamim. See, if this individual will at least go once in a while to a shiur, to a chacham, then maybe he will realize that he was wrong. That's the worst part of it, that he doesn't even go. That he doesn't listen, that he doesn't like. A lot of people don't like. A lot of people don't like to be told what to do. You are wrong. No, I'm not. Maybe you're wrong. People are stubborn. So a letz doesn't like. Of course he doesn't like. He doesn't believe in it. But the worst part of it is el chachamim lo yelech. If a person never goes to a shiur Torah, never opens up a book, never goes to a chacham, never consults with someone else at all, then he has no chance. That's worse. Why does he tell us this? Because there are individuals out there who may not be clowns, who may not be scorners, let's, but who think of themselves that they're perfect, that everything is okay, there's nothing wrong with them. And what did Shlomo Melech tell us in Kohelet? Ki en tzadik ba'aretz asher yaseh hatov v'lo ra'ah. There's no such a thing as a righteous man that only does good and no wrong. Maybe we did make a mistake once, sometime. That's what Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is, to do a cheshbon nefesh. One should not wait for once a year. Should do that every night. From time to time, a person has to look at himself and see, ask himself, is there anything that I need to correct? Where am I wrong? And if he does not do it, at least he should allow others to do it. And the best person to give one musar is one's spouse. Rabbis tell us, nobody will know you better than your own wife.
That's what goes next.
That's what she always nags. Better than your own mother. But you have to allow her. You have to let her. And many times, maybe even most of the time, she will be saying it from the bottom of her heart. Not because she's a nag. No, she really means it. We don't like to hear it. We think that they're nagging, or we think that they're just exaggerating, but many times it's for our own good, and that's the true ezer kenegdo. When two people know each other very, very, very well, that is a blessing in a sense, because they know each other's strengths, they know each other's weaknesses, but that's not enough. They need to also know how to deal with them, with the problems. That's a whole different idea. How do you deal with the problem that the other one has? But if the two are good people, they're patient, they're good listeners, they're serious, then that's a very wonderful relationship where each one can give each other hizuk, encouragement, each one can point out the faults of the other, and the other one won't feel threatened. That's very nice. A lot of times we feel threatened. What is he telling this to us? Maybe he's jealous. But when people really love each other, really care for each other, they usually don't mean any harm. But we don't take it that way. We feel we're always, well, not always, but many times on the defense. That's not so, not right. What are you talking about? One who likes musar should pay attention to the words that he's being told by almost anyone. Maybe there's some truth in them. Lev sameach yetif panim ubeatzvat lev ruach nechea. Merry heart makes a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. Okay, not bad, the translation. Basically what it means, lev sameach, if somebody has a happy heart, you can see the sign of a happy heart on his face. The face can reflect what's going on in the heart. Ubeatzvat lev ruach nechea, a low spirit, a depressed spirit, or a broken spirit, brings about atzvat lev, depression. And we spoke a little bit about that before, how serious this is, how the body is completely broken if the spirit is depressed. Obviously what he's talking about here is the importance of having a lev sameach, of having a happy heart. And we'll talk a little bit more about it in the next Pesukim, of what it means to be happy, what it means to have a happy heart. Here all he's telling us basically, in general terms, is that the mood one is in has a tremendous effect on one. How one conducts himself during the day, if he's happy mood or if he's in a bad mood, it's a tremendous effect. It's of great importance of what mood is one in. If one allows himself to be sad, or if one is happy, it could be really heartbreaking. For somebody to be depressed, it could be very, very difficult. Something very difficult to get out of. But we'll see a little bit later what he means. Lev navon yevakesh dat ufi chesidim yirei velet. The heart of the judicious seeks knowledge. Those who have understanding, those who are chachamim, who love knowledge, they're not just content with what they learned, they want to increase the knowledge, they want to grow further. They don't stop growing. Lev navon yevakesh dat, continuously. Ufi chesilim yir'eh evelet. But the mouth of fools feeds on foolishness. What that means, ro'eh means to, it's like a shepherd, he's always looking over his animals. A fool does not grow. He always stays where he is. He feeds his foolishness. He's not looking to change, he's not looking to grow. A normal person, that's what he's telling us, a person who has a little bit of understanding, that is one of the things that he should always aspire, he should be motivated to grow, to advance in life, not just in money, but spiritually. That's the heart of one who is an avon. A kasil has no interest in becoming better, in improving, in learning more. An avon does. Kol yemei ani ra'im betov lev mishteh tamid. We've come to the last pasuk for tonight. Very, very significant pasuk too. Rabbis speak a lot about this. And that is, all the days of the afflicted, of the poor, are evil, or are bad. But he who is merry, betov lev, he who is merry, has a continual feast, mishteh tamid. Kol yemei ani ra'im, the days, all the days of those who are miserable, who are poor, are bad. What is he talking about? Just because he has no parnasah, his days are bad? Shlomo Melech is not talking about necessarily one who is destitute, who has no money. He's even talking about rich people who are considered poor because they're not happy with what they have. They always want more. So kol yemei ani ra'im, a person who behaves like a poor man because he's not happy with what he has, he wants more, all his days he will be miserable, never be happy. And what a shame. In other words, this is what the rabbis have been telling us all along. Ezu ashira sameach bechilko. Who's a rich man? One who's happy with what he has. Be content with whatever you have. This is what Hashem wanted you to have. If a person always is jealous of others, or another example that is mentioned, eno tzara be'acherim. He's never happy for what others have. It bothers him that his friend just bought a new house, a new car. It bothers him. He's not jealous because he has it himself. But he's not happy because the other one bought it too. These people are always miserable. So what is he telling us? Don't think that misery is something that you have because you have no money and because of that you're miserable. Misery is self-inflicted. You're bringing it upon yourself. Because either you're not happy for someone else, you're jealous of someone else, you're not content with what you have. Tov lev mishteh tamid, a person who is always has a good heart, he's always satisfied, his life is always a continuous feast. Now rabbis tell us in the Gemara there's a whole list of people that fit into the category of kol yemei ani ra'im. One is an istanis. An istanis is a very finicky person. Feeble or finicky. Everything bothers him. Istanis. Person who has a bad wife, also all his days are miserable. Person who has a good wife, all his days are mishteh tamid. There is a whole list in the Gemara of people who have it difficult and have it miserable. The bottom line over here is midat habitachon. Whoever has confidence in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shehu hamanhig, that he is the one that directs the entire world, and he knows what he's doing. Whoever has that reliance in Hashem will always be calm, will always be happy. Whoever does not have bitachon, he will have many, many difficult moments in life, because he will be anxious, he will be fearful, he will not know what to do, he will have many moments of fear and of anxiety. And on what does that depend? On if a person is tov lev, if a person has a good heart meaning that he's happy with what Hashem has given him. How could he be happy with what Hashem has given him? Because he has bitachon b'Hashem, that Hashem has given him what he needs to have, and Hashem has not given me what I don't need to have. Whereas the other individual who's always complaining, who's always nagging, who's always miserable, who's never happy, all of that shows one thing: a complete lack of bitachon. So you can clearly see who has bitachon and who not, with who is happy and who is not. Because happiness is a direct result of having bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu.